Yeah, you know the ones that are, when is rain coming out? Soon.
Yeah,
I got that one, Vlad.
thank you. Soon TM. There's a random warg pup in the middle of Konoha.
Hmm.
Karkanoses. So
How are you doing today?
I'm good. It's just working on some stuff. Stream
We're,
starting soon.
I saw you on the dev server last night working hard.
Yeah, I restart the server all the time, so if you randomly see that, just know everything's okay.
close.
What I was gonna, oh, I'm sorry.
No, so I am gonna schedule it for the 15th and the 16th. The 15th will start at 8:30 a.m. and depending on, I mean, I'll be ready to go no matter what on the 15th, and if the state takes into the afternoon and then Mr. Brooks needs the rest of that afternoon or into the next day, I will certainly make those accommodations. I think I'm gonna tentatively say we're gonna schedule it for 1 p.m. on the 16th. And if anything changes, I'll let the parties know. And then I just need to know by Friday the 11th at noon the parties are asking make their statements by Zoom with a listing of their names so that when they appear on the Zoom, because then I'll prove it, we'll release the Zoom information.
I stand before you in this church in very
appear on the Zoom, because then we'll release
Alright, folks, it's time for some spooky music that the Twitch and YouTube can hear. I'm afraid the stage won't be able to hear it. I have absolutely no idea how to turn that down. Volume mixer. Oh, I wish I could play it in the whatever this is stage. We'll begin in 5 or so minutes. Just trying to get a little more people in while we have some time. In the meantime, I suppose I'll just hang around this blood moon. I'll just try and drink some tea to get some energy. Last minute.
Energy? It's like 5 o'clock. I've been at work all day.
Don't you get like tired around this time?
No, because I usually drink coffee about 3 o'clock.
Oh. I only let myself drink coffee once a day.
That's intelligent.
The rest has to be tea if I'm ever feeling down.
No, Ray in the audience, I think he says he drinks like 6 cups of coffee a day.
Wow. I've had a lot of withdrawals before when I was quitting coffee several times. So I'm just trying to avoid that.
Jeez, Vlad, you're always giving up the fun things in life. You don't want to smoke weed, you don't want to drink coffee. Just, gee, you don't play Shinobi Story.
Life is all about starting and quitting fun things.
Apparently, I'm doing the fun things out here.
Gotta change it up a little bit. Quit things and then restart them. Yeah, I'm drinking black tea, Kizo. Some nice bergamot black tea. Slice of lemon and some honey. Good afternoon tea. Is everyone excited for Halloween? Here, Aniki's been trying to speak for a while. I'm going to let him speak. Aniki, you have 60 seconds to speak.
Just hurry up, I want to sleep.
Wow.
Just very insightful.
Yeah, I want to hear what you guys have to say.
It's Halloween. Are you not going trick-or-treating?
No, we don't have that shit in Serbia, so...
Boo.
And basically, Halloween, it's same as every single day, because every single day people are wearing masks.
Wow.
Whenever they leave the home.
I would never want to live there. Anyway, thank you for your
I'm
insight.
talking about the whole world, like...
The whole world doesn't do that anymore. God bless America.
Because they're wearing a mask, like pretending they are good, so blah 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 blah.
Well, thank you very much.
Only 5% people who are truly themselves every single day. They step out the door, like truly.
Thank you.
Don't give a fuck about them.
Thank you for that valuable insight. We'll begin in a few more minutes. And some of these questions are good, some of these questions are really not so good so far. But we'll see.
I mean, and you'll still be taking questions from the audience.
Yeah,
right?
I'll start with some audience questions, and then at the end I'll go to the submitted questions.
Okay. And that was Aniki, one of the Hokage candidates.
Oh, yes.
I think the plan is still to vote next week. I'm not 100% on that, but
yes.
I'm looking forward to it.
The third Hokage will be announced this week or next week. Depends if the council can reach a consensus or a vote, etc.
Oh, we have actually Kataki's in there too, another candidate. And then you got Ray, an actual council member.
True.
I'm sure he's judging the candidates wisely, I'm sure.
I'm sure. Very wise gentleman. One more minute, then we'll begin. I don't want to keep people here too long. We have another event, the costume contest, which will happen in 2 hours from now. So save some energy for that. The winner will receive an exclusive title and a special cosmetic. Maybe not special cosmetic. They'll get some Halloween goodies. But an exclusive title, just for the winner of the annual Halloween contest.
That's pretty cool. I mean, and then even if you're giving something from the Halloween vendor, it's not super feasible to get everything. So
right.
That could actually...
There'll be some value. And a surprise person has also announced they're willing to give a hair token to the winner as well, on top of the normal prize. Just got a DM. Would the DMer like to make themselves known, or would they like to remain anonymous? Mr. Raydos has offered the winner a hair token as well. Hold on, I'm trying to find the title first in the long list. Ah, here it is. So the title that the winner of the Halloween costume contest will get is the Grim Reaper.
Oh shit, are you serious?
I'm serious.
I feel like people are gonna try hard now.
I mean, let's see, where is it? The Grim Reaper. I'm equipping it right now. Okay, folks. Officially beginning the Q&A. Mr. Crab, please come up here.
Hey, Crab. Hello.
Okay, thank you all for coming to this very small Q&A. It'll be recorded, put on YouTube, and so people can catch up there. I'll be first taking some audience questions. If you'd like to ask a question, there is a button on the top right of your screen. It should be a little hand. I suppose it's a raising your hand button. Feel free to click it at any time you have a question to ask us directly. Anyone? Don't be shy. Oh god, I need to raise his hand. Alright. We'll see if we put this on YouTube or not. Cowards.
Yeah. First one, after releasing every nation in Japan game, do you hope to have 200 plus players online every day?
So at our peak, we reached 126 players with only one village. My prediction, if all things go well, especially with this upcoming development cycle, we, in theory, if all nations are released, we would hit way more than that, just from statistics. But that's like every village, every land, which may just never happen, but that's the goal.
Okay, but I'm talking about after a few months of playing, like a lot of people won't stay and play.
Mm-hmm. So let me kind of hijack your question a little bit and answer it a different way. Right now we've identified several issues. We took a survey of a bunch of players in-game. We've identified the likes and dislikes. and we have a very clear vision now of the direction the game is going to go in. For instance, we're going to be turning all battlegrounds into essentially a mini-game within the game. Similar to how ARAM is very popular in League of Legends, we hope that our battlegrounds will be similar to that. Meaning that any player at any level will be able to queue together. They will be able to fight each other on an even playing field with max stats, or similar. And they will be limited by their rank, Chunin, Jonin, Genin. Otherwise, a Genin at level 1, or at whatever level we choose to allow the battlegrounds, probably level 10, will be able to queue with level 60s on an equal playing field. The only difference between them will be how many masteries they have access to, which will incentivize playing in the real world to gain said masteries. We're turning this into a PvP/RP game. There will be dungeons and raids, but those are a little more experimental. But we're doubling down on the PvP aspect of this game because that's where we shine. Our jutsus are actually very nice, and there's a lot of room for potential there. It will also get a lot of people from Ascension, since a lot of people that play this game somehow also play Ascension.
Yeah, me too.
The theory crafting is immense already, and we can magnify it. And that's what we're planning to do in this next development cycle.
Okay, one more question. I did post some missions there, so you will not need to read like what's its most important to you guys? Roleplay, PvE, or PvP? You can pick only one.
Okay, the obvious answer is PvP, as I mentioned, followed closely by roleplay, and then trailed by PvE. Like we've just never really been good at that, but we've been really good at PvP, right? We've been really good at cosmetics. We've been really good at map design. Not so good at PvE. So, whatever. We're kind of throwing that to the wind a bit, and doubling down on what we're really good at, which is PvP and roleplay. Though we will not police roleplay in the same way that a lot of other people may.
About summoning.
Give somebody else a chance to ask a question. You could raise your hand again. Fair? Next we have Shirohana. Please come on up.
Thank you.
Hello.
Aniki is hogging the stage, I see.
It's a good warm up.
I posted some questions in the feedback form like 5 minutes ago, but I wanted to ask a more informative question, maybe on how the development team goes about their work. So how do you assign and track all the items that are brought up or are like made up by you?
Right.
How do you keep track of like a backlog? How do you assign them? And what is the prioritization? So how do you split the tasks, I would say?
Right. So historically, we've not been very good at that. And actually last week, we've made a decision to be good at that. And what we've done is we've completely remade how our development process goes. And this week in the next patch cycle, we're testing it out. Before, we kind of had one giant checklist in a dev section in our Discord. But now we have shifted to Trello in a beautiful pipeline. We obviously we assign tasks that we think are important for the next patch, tasks that take some time to make. For instance, before every patch, there is some content that is reserved for the patch ahead, right? Because we can't make something start to finish. Sometimes we make something, we get it started, but we don't quite have what we need yet, and then we will revisit it, at a later time.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A lot of that is tracked on Trello nowadays. We comb through the bug reports, we comb through the theory crafting, we list the jobs, and we assign based on interest and capability. Because there's nothing worse than a developer that just hates doing something. There's no point. We do this for fun.
Yeah, no, it's a hobby. First and foremost, except for you, maybe.
Yeah, but, I'm happy to slave around.
4 devs right now, right?
We have about 3 to 4 devs we're historically working at a time. We have included a new developer recently for content creation, and we hope to bump that number to between 3 to 5 developers working at a time.
Yeah.
Always.
Expansion of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats, Eddie Celian, on the new job.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, what is your stance on community guidelines regarding, let's say, toxicity in the future? Let's say the community expands to 200 or maybe 500 players. Do you still think it's reasonable to have really loose guidelines and let everyone do whatever they want? Or do you think you're gonna be toughening up and actually committing to maybe, setting out some harsher punishments for repeat offenses?
So we've definitely dished out the harsher punishments this month. Enough was enough, and we've taken, account action on people who just refuse to, play nice to a degree. Obviously, being nice and friendly is not required. Just don't let it bleed into real life, because at some point, enough is enough, and we'll just ban you.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where the stance is with the smaller community. You want to maintain your core community. I want to please them as much as possible. But as the community grows, guidelines will have to be maintained at some point.
It's a fine line. One person's toxicity is not another's, and so we have to have a cohesive, litmus test on what is acceptable and what's not. I know a lot of people, often, meme and joke around in chat. If you've spent any time on the internet, you'd be aware of that. And we try to distinguish, that between like actual malice.
Yeah, there's a big gray area.
We'll obviously take action to protect the game first and foremost, in whatever form that takes. And we've proven this month especially that we're willing to take those actions, even though it may be a temporary, short-term hit. But it's a sacrifice worth making.
I agree. That's a good answer. I'm satisfied with that.
Perfect. I'm glad. My pleasure. If you'd like to ask a question, there's a button on the top right of your screen, the little raise hand thing. Please, all right. Aniki would like to speak again. Please, coming up, Mr. Aniki.
Sorry, but I hear a lot.
No, please, ask away. That's what we're here for.
Yesterday, or 2 days ago, somebody told me like summoning jutsu. Like it's gonna be only 3 legendary summons.
They're incorrect.
Frog, Snake, and Lady Katsuya.
I don't know who told you that, but they're probably not a reliable source.
Like it's gonna be a long quest line, and after that you can choose between these 3. I was wondering if that's true. Like, is there a possibility to add other summoners, like Kakashi, Hatake, Hair, Dog summon? You understand what I
Yeah, absolutely. Whoever told you that information,
Okay.
please finish your question.
No, like that's all.
So whoever told you that information, I mean, it's difficult to say because not even I have the full picture on what is in store, but I can promise you this. So far, we have about 6 different summons planned, and we're willing to expand that up to 10. Unique ones. For instance, you have the Legendary 3, you have a salamander, a spider, a hawk, etc. We're looking at the summon essentially altering your playstyle. And I believe that, there should be more than just 3. Though, one thing is for certain, we don't want them to be swappable. Meaning that whatever you choose, it is a commitment. And this will be probably one of the most endgame pieces of content there would be so far.
Yeah, but is there a possibility, like you say, 3 legendary, like that's Snake, Frog, and Lady Katsui, Slug. But is there a possibility for like fighters summoning to be Sage mode to be a legendary?
Right, like I said, the 3 animals are, quote, legendary in name only. We're looking to include up to 10 different summon types. That'll be essentially on par with each other. One will not be better than the other. It'll be dependent on what you want in your play style, or just whatever the heck you want to roleplay as. Yeah, so up to 10.
Ask more questions.
I mean, you may as well. No one else has their hand raised.
Maximo is there.
Oh, okay, we got some hand raises. All right, thank you for asking the questions. I believe Maximo raised his hand first. I'm coming up.
Hello.
What's up, Max?
Sorry for my volume on my book, so I can't really speak on my phone. I was gonna ask if there's a plan to make a legendary tools mastery where it includes 10 tools and like the big monkey stuff and all that stuff.
Right. I was actually thinking about that. In our general techniques, we have some ninja tools. Some ninja tools there, and I was wondering, is it enough to warrant being its own mastery? We'd obviously need to add some more interesting things, like some of the sage tools that 1010 uses later on. I think that's necessary to make the mastery respectable to some degree, because 1010 is a joke in the community for a reason. She's kind of weak. Nobody really wants to be weak. Nobody sets out to be weak usually. Oh, Yakuma's here. Let me invite him up here.
I was talking when I said that I was thinking about like all the legendary tools that we see in Naruto. For example, the mask that frees you from like the sealing technique that the third Hokage used against Orochimaru.
Right.
There's also the fan that 1010 used. There's also the little basket thing.
Yeah.
Ginkakuin and the other guy used. I'm talking about like all the legendary.
Yeah, that's what I'm referencing too. Yeah. The sage tools. There's also like some arm rope that they used for some reason. I mean, in the lore they're a little esoteric, but we could really define them a little more, solidly. And then maybe it could warrant being its own, competitive mastery. It's something definitely we're looking into. Maybe sometime down the line, but it's not immediately a priority, because we want to kind of reserve some of those general techniques for some leveling, because I know that some people choose, quote, the wrong mastery as their first one, and the general techniques are there. One of the reasons the general techniques are there is essentially to help with leveling, especially now that they're swappable for Rio, so it's a little more new player friendly.
Okay.
Hope that answered your question.
Yeah, that's it.
Appreciate you. I believe Shirohana had her hand up after Maximo.
Thank you. I think Moe was first, but let me ask mine. It's a short one. What's your vision going to be on gear moving forwards? Because in the last patch you added some gear pieces to reputation rewards. And Tenzaku is obviously a minor establishment compared to Leave. Are you going to add more gear to PvE? Is it going to be a progression route, possibly? Or are you going to have gear just as a minor thing?
So we're playing around with adding stats back to gear. I think that is something that a lot of MMO players just feel is missing, because it's so natural. It goes hand in hand with an MMO to have stats on gear, right? We tried something different. We tried to keep it all behind the scenes, all the numbers. And that works out to an extent, but, why reinvent the wheel? There will be various ways to get said gear. One goal is to have a reputation vendor in every single town, to kind of tell an isolated story, to tell the storyline of the town, and to reward the player with some stat gear, with some fun roleplay items, item enchants, It's similar to how World of Warcraft does it. I think, why reinvent the wheel? There will be various ways to progress. For instance, your weapon will be progressed through the profession of weapon crafting. We're looking at some other, I don't want to name names right now, but some other items that will be progressed throughout. Similar to potentially how WoW handles some legendaries in recent expansions. Like, what if we progress on a druid relic, for instance, or a ring, or a necklace,
Artifact weapon. That'd be sick.
Well, the weapons are handled through the profession. We are certainly releasing way more ranks of those weapons.
All right, and then following up with the reputation, Is Tanzaku going to remain to be a minor establishment, or is that the main rogue base?
I'm not sure where you got the minor establishment from.
Because compared to Leaf, Tanzaku just has way less opportunities to gain reputation. So I feel like it's one of those neutral little villages. Once you add more main villages, let's say Rain, you're gonna have those main factions and then a lot of smaller ones possibly. How is that gonna work out?
So currently in the quote-unquote lore, at least in the headcanon, Tanzaku Town has sort of seceded from the Land of Fire. They're way too far from Nochi City to be governable. And so there are some new NPCs, a new militia that you may have noticed in this recent patch that has taken up posts and has essentially regained control of that small, isolated breakaway state. As for the reputation amounts, that's just simply a development resource issue that will be addressed over time as we add more content.
All right.
We do have some people assigned to Tanzaku Town to tell a more concise story, potentially offer more chances to gain reputation with Tanzaku Town, and help see the storyline through.
All right. That's probably going to be Addy.
So stay tuned.
Will they be quest exclusive though, or can we farm rep on mobs at some point? Last question. Sorry.
We'll have to see. I like the idea of farming for like cosmetic things. I think World of Warcraft did that really well. We'll certainly consider it once we have a better grasp on what story we want to tell in the Tanzaku region.
All right. Thank you for the answers.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
No problem.
Mr. Moyazu, please come on up here. What's up, my friend?
Hello. Does the dev team feel like there are any feedback blind spots, so to speak? Some things that are maybe hammered home repeatedly and fixated on when feedback is given? And maybe some experiences or some situations that are not given enough feedback because maybe they're not as impactful to the in-game players that give most of the feedback and so on and so forth. I was just wondering if there's any blind spots you'd like addressed.
I suppose by the very nature of them being blind spots, we wouldn't really know. But we have taken a recent action. Some of you may have noticed you were approached in-game by some mysterious people and asked a series of questions. I particularly targeted people under level 60. I've asked them a series of questions. How did they find out about us? Why they're here? What do they like the most? What's their biggest dislike? And we recorded that all in a Google document. And with that in hand, we have begun the planning for the next phase of development, and we are pretty excited for it. I don't usually get excited often, but we have really identified those blind spots, as you mentioned. We have really clarified what we are as a game and what we're not. And frankly, we are a PvP RP game. And we're doubling down hard on that aspect. We do that really well. Or at least I think we do that really well. And we're just going to do it even better. We're going to stop trying to be a game that we're not. And we are going to really open the door for more casual enjoyment of the game without having to commit hundreds and hundreds of hours of mindless grinding to even be able to scratch anybody. We really want to double down on, having fun. Almost straight away. Because otherwise, why would somebody continue playing? I hope that answered your question to some degree.
Yep, it does. Sounds awesome. Can't wait to see what comes.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your question. Mr. Guts, get up here.
Evening, everyone. Do you think there will be a way to address possible class fantasies, having a tank, healer, DPS dedicated gameplay, adding general spells to enhance this sort of gameplay, etc.?
I'm glad you asked. We did try that with the general techniques. We had a taunt, for instance. We had a smoke screen technique which reduces your aggro. And I guess I'll make a big reveal right now in front of everybody. We are working on the second branch of the basic 5 elements, and we're taking the stance of what is the first branch opposite of, right? Like, what's the antithesis of the first branch? And what that is, you'll have to wait and see. But it offers more of those gameplay options, the typical holy trinity of tank, healer, and DPS. It will really open the doors for people in terms of class fantasy and utility. So soon you'll be able to, build your class fantasy a little deeper than, medic is required, earth is required, this one general mastery is required. The goal is to have multiple roads, and multiple ways to play a class type.
That's all we can ask for. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking. I believe Maxima raised his hand, and then I'll get to Zilanus.
I was going to ask if there is going to be further incentive to participate in the Discord, to get, basically be an incentive to participate in the Discord. An example I just thought about, in case, a way to approach this is your Discord activity or rank, you could exchange that for points in game or materials or something of the sort. I don't know.
That's a bit of a tough one. Besides engaging with the community or being able to do things like this, it's difficult to really cross the threshold between playing the game versus I suppose Farmville Simulator on Discord.
I wasn't like referring to like getting an unnecessary advantage, like from this part being on Discord, right? I was talking more of like, I don't know, cosmetic item or something that it's used for other than progression that you could get also by being active in the Discord, but that is not like you, that it doesn't help you with progression to be in the Discord.
I see. There are no current plans for that. Some people just don't even have Discord. Yeah, I mean, I really can't say there's any plans for that at the moment. Maybe in the future, I don't know. It's not really on our radar right now. We're mainly focusing on like gameplay things at the moment. Maybe once we finish those long list of gameplay things, we could look at potentially doing something with more Discord integration, but right now it's mainly just community focused.
Also, something that I was going to ask kind of related to it. I asked about, I made a suggestion about the website being renovated, and Kiso told me that you guys are already working on that.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to know if there's anything that we can know about it.
It's really just a cosmetic redesign. Our current website's like stupidly outdated, and it's really difficult to find a competent web developer or web artist, because a lot of them are overcharging and under-delivering, and their portfolio is just not very good. It's very easy to make a very basic business website for the typical business, but I think we're such a specific thing that it just takes a little time to build. Besides the cosmetic renovation, there will be a few different things. Like you'll be able to change your password one of these days. But I promise it is something we're looking closely into. We're passively trying. We're just so limited in our resources. Because at the moment it's me redesigning the website again.
That's rough.
Yeah, but it's, we'll get there. We'll get there. Thanks for asking.
Good luck. No problem.
Mr. Zelanis, please coming up. Hello?
I had to click something. I didn't realize.
Oh.
Yeah, my question was regarding kind of like rep again. I was kind of brought it up. I don't know if you ever have any plans for like a lot of time in WoW. There'd be like some mobs you could kill and 5 rep. I don't know if that's something. If you
right.
That's a good idea or not.
Yeah, I do think it's a good idea. Basically, we would have to make like a mob specific to the Tanzaku region first. And I really hope that we'll identify these like 2 or 3 mobs whenever we make the Tanzaku storyline coming up. At that point, then I would feel comfortable letting them have like a small XP trickle per kill. But I did want to try that. I was actually looking into that before this recent patch, and we just didn't have a specific Tanzaku mob at the time that would make sense, like story-wise.
Okay. Oh, I mean, Jonin guards would be cool, dude. Go assault the leaf, get some rep for Tanzaku. Right?
Yeah, I suppose I suppose so. We might save that one for the rain. So you can go assault some leafies, NPCs for some rain reputation and vice versa.
Oh yeah, well, that was all I had.
Oh, thanks for your question. All right, next, please come on up here.
Hello.
Hello.
So I actually posed this question in my Google Forms questions, and I was curious as to what are your thoughts on possibly bringing in a select few members from the community to actually like pre-test and give direct feedback before a patch goes live for like balancing of abilities and working out the kinks and all sorts of different things with jutsu and that sort of thing.
I see what you mean. That will not happen for several reasons. One of them is just how our database is structured. It's structured in a way that they count as shared between the development realm and the main realm. We would have to completely, change how that works. It would also pose a problem of nepotism, because at that point we'd have to decide, okay, let's say we do have this, who gets in and who doesn't, right? Would that take away from the main game? Which I think it would. This is such a, small team project that everybody here is a tester. That's just the reality of it. As a lot of people are aware, knowingly or unknowingly. I just don't think that's the right call. It does not feel right. And it would just create more problems. Because it's easy to say, obviously you invite XYZ because they're the highest skill players. Very, very small amounts of content is actually broken on delivery. To a point where I just don't think that's relevant in our near future. Yeah. Hope that answered that question.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Mr. Aniki has another question. Come on up here. I'll be taking 2 or 3 more people.
Yeah, I just want to say, guys, welcome to podcast with developers of the game. This is question and answering. Just kidding. What's your plans for combination mastery, like ice and volcano, magna, whatever this new master tool was? Like, do you planning more combination mastery to make? And is there a possibility to make like NPC to increase a village, like, how to say it, to invest into the village?
I see.
Like, to have a choice between academy, Konoha police force building, hospital building,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Like, is there a possibility for that? And what's your plan for new mastery of combination elements?
Let me address the first part. Combination masteries are released just like every other mastery. They're not specifically a priority, nor not a priority. It's just, whenever we have the resources to build it, meaning, models, proper animations, spell effects, and two, the desire to build it, because we work on a basis of what we think is fun, to make, what we think would, fit in well. We obviously have a long list of jutsu to make, of all kinds.
Puppetry the most?
That's one of the 30 jutsu types we have to make. One thing for certain is we won't be running out of jutsu to make anytime soon. As for the second question about investing in certain buildings, I think I see where you're going with this, sort of like a war resources thing, as World of Warcraft does.
Yeah, like ore, wood, herbs, like a lot of ingredients, money to invest, and when we get a certain level of investing everything, like to upgrade the next patch.
Upgrade the next patch.
In the next patch,
I
like
think, donating to the Konoha Leaf Village with the intent of building an Ambu base in the Leaf Village, and after they reach a certain threshold, I'm guessing in
okay, I see what you mean.
like having an NPC and choose like
Right. Oh, that'd be cool.
invest in Ambu headquarters. And for
Right.
that, like we need 10,000 bronze and ore.
Right.
15,000.
Okay, I see what you mean. That's interesting. Huh. Yeah, that'd be interesting. I will definitely write that one down. Thanks
Like, that way we know what people want, like what part of the village to upgrade.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks for your question. I'll have to write that one down. That's not a terrible idea. Well.
So let's go to another listener to see what they have to say.
Yeah, thank you. Shiro Hana, please come up here.
Or Maximo. I have a question based on the premise that gear is becoming a little more prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, we currently have 3 different stats for spell power, which I'm aware of. It's increased damage done by magical spells and effects. It's increased jutsu power, and there's just flat spell power.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any plans to make these all uniform? So just change them into one stat?
Right. That would probably make sense, wouldn't it?
I mean, it's getting more confusing because there's also like ninjutsu level on some gear. There's a wide variety of gear, and it's becoming a bit, chaotic, and some just don't do anything at all at this point.
Right. Okay. That makes total sense. I'll have to write that one down as well. I know I know that's been a hot topic lately. Unify stats. All right. We'll have a meeting about that.
All right.
Thank you.
At least you're aware of it.
I believe Maximo is next. Then Moyazu will be the final question I'm taking.
This is kind of a brief question, but I wanted to know if in the future you have plans to make like a customizable space or not, or organization based.
Fuck yeah, we're doing player housing. It's going to be similar to how some other World of Warcraft roleplay projects do it, like Epsilon. You'll be given your own personal instance plot of land. You'll be able to determine who gets in, who doesn't get in, who can contribute, who can help build, etc. This allows us to make it a organization base, personal player base, and it's not going to be limited to just a house, right? You're given a plot of land. With that plot of land, you can do absolutely anything. You can build your own custom town. You can replicate the hidden Leaf Village. You can make a piece of art. The world is your oyster. We're only there to provide the tools.
Okay. I just wanted to know what's good with it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, player housing will be a huge update. Lots of people love player housing, me being one. Yeah, thank you for your question. And Mr. Moyazu, last question from you.
since you said the goal was to lean more into PvPRP type gameplay, that calls into question the faction system. Absent development resources, absent any sort of timeline or any particular spoilers, what, if you're willing to share, does a faction system that you would like the game to have look like? What are some tenets that you'd be willing to share for the faction system?
Sure. This has been on our mind lately, with a lot of feedback that we've read so far. It seems the original faction system, didn't work. The 15 kills was always kind of a placeholder, but we just never revisited it. I envision the faction system is a bit softer rather than a hard faction system. At the end of the day, it'll become essentially a color you choose to represent. It will have some perks, like being able to enter a village in particular. But that might just not be... we'll have to look at a different way of how to handle not being able to enter a village or not being able to interact with the faction. But as it stands, it's just the idea didn't work. One alternative for potentially a rogue system could be, if you get X amount of kills, you become vulnerable to being handcuffed against your will, quote unquote captured for 30 minutes or something. At the moment, the faction system is way too punishing for slip-ups, and I don't think that is the future of it. I don't know if that answered your question. I'm a little tired.
Yeah, no, I was just curious about general questions that answered it.
Did that scratch the surface, or do you have a follow-up question you could ask to kind of clarify?
No, I think just the general idea of soft faction system, and do you think multi-factioning, being a hero of all or enemy of none, is ever going to be?
If we allow that, it kind of becomes the quote-unquote meta, which will just cause more meta slavery, which might not be the best way to go about it. If we make soft factions, then it's essentially just a cause you fight for.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thank you all for coming for this questions and answers. We'll have the Halloween costume contest in about an hour and a half from now. I expect everybody to be there at Tenzaku Town, bringing your best and coolest outfit for the exclusive annual title of the Grim Reaper, which will only be given away during this holiday event every year, and only one person per year gets it. So bring your best costume. I'll see you in Tenzaku Town in an hour and a half. Happy Halloween, everyone. Thank you for being here. Bye.